Welcome back to the third of our OpenAI and Resolve integration videos. This is Igor Ridjanovic. In parts 1 and 2, I showed a virtual assistant chatbot inside of Resolve and image generation from within a Resolve timeline. In this video, I will show you a proof of concept for AI-assisted VFX comp creation inside Resolve's Fusion page. This is the use case I think has the most potential because it could make VFX creation as simple as using plain language to describe what you want to do. I will launch my script here. Bear in mind this is nascent and very experimental at this stage. I have made some tweaks to GPT 3.5 Turbo, but we still may receive responses that make no sense to Fusion. Alright, let's try with something simple. We're asking to add a blur of 12.5. Here's a blur. The value is set to 12.5. There's a mask connection into the mask input, but that doesn't really matter. It won't do anything. So there you go. That's kind of what we wanted. All right, cool. Let's try something else. Let's up the game a little bit. We'll ask to add a blur of value 6. Call this my blur. After the blur, add a so we're asking to add a blur at value 6, and then after that add a transform node and shift the picture to the right. Let's see if that works. And it does, but it set the Y to 0, which kind of makes sense as kind of like a computer logic, right? Because the default value is 0.5. It should be here. And I didn't ask it to explicitly change that, but it set it to 0. But if we look down here, we have our blur, and it's called my blur. And we have this transform node. It named it move X. I didn't really ask it to do that. Let me see what we say here. Add the blur, like we didn't ask it to rename it. For some reason it renamed it. However, the on-screen result is more or less what we asked it to do. But one problem with this is that we're kind of presupposing here that we understand as a user what a transform node is. And the whole idea behind this is to simplify creation of the nodes. So let's try, instead of saying add a transform node, let's just say after the blur, move the picture up, and let's see what happens. So the blur is there. Move the picture. This is a transform node, but it didn't really know what to do. So let's try move the picture to Y.75. And again, that didn't quite work. It did put a transform node, but it didn't move it to where we wanted to. Okay, well, we have some failures, but we're on the right track. I'm going to try something else. All right, this worked. So we have a blur. We asked it to be 18. It is 18. We have a text node that says Dubrovnik, and that's controlling what area of the screen is being blurred. You can't see it in the sea over here, but you can see it over the town. So that worked quite well, actually. Again, this copy right here presupposes that you understand how Fusion nodes work. So let's try to make it more user-friendly for someone who does not understand how Fusion nodes work. Resolve. All right, so that's pretty kind of visual effects agnostic. We're not too specific what tools we're telling it to use. And it looks like it worked. That's awesome. So Resolve is in there. It's connected to the blur. It's exactly what I asked it to do, and I asked it in a kind of a human way, not really Fusion kind of a way. So we've been using a lot of blurs. Let's try set contrast to 2.0 and gain to 1.2. Let's see what happens. Okay, so here's an interesting case. It says unknown tool found. It tried its best to do this, but it doesn't really know a whole lot about Fusion comps. Let's try to be a little more specific in this case. So I'll say add brightness contrast node. Call it BC for brightness contrast. Set gain to 1.4 and 0.4. So it added a brightness contrast node, but it did not set any of the values I asked it. You know, these things sometimes fail. Instead of typing, I will paste kind of a long set of directions. So we're asking to add a blur node, add another blur node, add a text to the second blur. After that, add a transform node and move the picture. It's a little more complex. Let's see if this succeeds. And it does. So the first node is my blur. It is set to 12.5 and we ask for 12.5. Then there's a node called second blur. It's set to 5.2 and we are asking for 5.2. There's a masked text and it should contain let's see if this works. And it says let's see if this works. That's good. And then we move the picture. So this one worked quite well. That wasn't too bad. Even though there were some failures, I think there were partial successes, so I'm going to keep them in this video. The OpenAI models allow for fine-tuning, but there are some limitations that kind of got in the way, and it is possible to make this better, but I think this is good enough as a proof of concept. So I'm curious to hear if you think this is something that could be useful in Resolve. Thank you for watching. This is Igor, and you can find out more about my Resolve work at metafied.com.